I run tech support for a hobby that breaks itself at 90 miles per hour. Last week, a guy messages me in all caps, which is never calming. He says, "My video broke mid-flight and I crashed." Then he says, "It's gotta be the cold." He lives somewhere the weather is always a little dramatic. He also spent about $500 on a high-definition video setup. He bought it because he thought clearer video would make flying safer. That's the $500 mistake. He tells me he was moving close to 90 miles per hour. The world was only a screen inside his goggles. Then the video stuttered, froze, and stopped updating like it hit pause. He said it felt like steering a screenshot at full speed. His thumbs kept moving anyway because panic doesn't ask permission. He had less time than a blink to guess what was next. He didn't see the crash happen, he heard it. Then silence. The kind of silence that costs money. This is first-person view drone flying. You put on goggles that block the real world completely. All you get is a live camera view from the drone's nose. After a few seconds, your brain stops caring that you're standing still. It starts treating the camera like your eyes. The machine fits in a backpack, but it moves like it's angry. Its four blades spinning so fast it sounds like an angry lawn tool. He told me the screen froze, and that one word explains his cold theory. If you're not into tech, freeze sounds like temperature. If you are into tech, freeze sounds like trouble. He asks me one question: how do I stop the video from betraying me? Great question. The answer sounds backwards, right up until it saves your drone. People act like this hobby appeared last year, like someone invented it between lunch and regret. It didn't start like that. It started with one engineer refusing to accept the limits of his decade. In 1989, a former Boeing engineer named Carl Berry wanted cockpit vision on the ground. He didn't have sleek goggles or action cameras, so he used a security camera, the kind meant for parking lots. To lift it, he built a gas-powered model plane with a 10-foot wingspan. It weighed about 15 kilograms. If that crashes, you don't lose a drone. You lose a conversation with your insurance company. Carl didn't wear goggles. He built a cockpit out of a Sega arcade cabinet. He used a 19-inch CRT screen and wired his controls into the cabinet. So yes, the earliest version of this hobby looked like a video game, except the game over happened in real life. That's the part people love about first-person view history. It isn't clean innovation. It's stubborn builders forcing random technology to cooperate. Over time, everything got smaller, faster, and more willing to crash. The moment speed arrived, timing became the real enemy, not skill. Which brings us back to his cold air theory. He blamed the weather because the screen froze. But the thing that froze wasn't the air, it was the video. And that's why FPV video looks bad on purpose. The video looks like a haunted videotape, and that's not an accident. That sounds backwards in 2026, but this hobby isn't selling a pretty picture, it's selling timing, and the picture is just the receipt. My customer says, "Why not just use perfect HD video?" I tell him, "Perfect is great until it pauses." He says, "It won't pause." Then I show him the clip where it absolutely did. Here's the simplest way to picture it. Your eyes are watching a screen, not the sky. Any delay means your thumbs are steering something that already happened. At highway speed, already happened can be the length of a coffee table. With old school video, the picture can get ugly, but motion stays readable. When the signal gets weak, it turns into white snow like an old TV dying. You still see movement through the noise. Your brain fills in the missing pieces and keeps you on track. It's ugly, but it stays honest. Cleaner HD video plays a different game. It works hard to look perfect even when the signal is struggling. Sometimes it doesn't get ugly at all. Sometimes it freezes on one perfect frame. The machine keeps moving forward, but your eyes are stuck on the past. That's not a worse picture, that's a perfect looking lie. There's another trap that makes people feel cursed. Some normal screens panic when the signal gets messy. They don't show snow, they show a solid blue screen, meaning total blindness. That's the screen politely quitting at the worst possible time. So when my customer asks why the best pilots choose noisy video, I say it plainly. The noisy feed doesn't make you faster, it makes your timing steady. And steady timing is what makes the locked-in moment possible. He pauses and says, "Okay, but my drone still hates me." Perfect. Now we're in the part of the call where the comedy lives. Most hobbies have a learning curve. This one has a help desk, and the help desk is always open, even when you wish it wasn't. Case 1 starts the same way every case starts. Motors on, throttle up, and the drone attacks the dirt like it has a personal grudge. Not a little hop either. It digs in like it's trying to reach the center of the earth. They try again, because confidence is free and repairs are not. The explanation is always poetic. It doesn't want to fly today. It wants to fly. It's just pushing air the wrong direction. The fix is humiliating and immediate. The spinning blades are installed upside down, like a ceiling fan mounted wrong. 2 minutes later, it lifts off like nothing happened. The pilot laughs the way people laugh right before they cry later. Case 2 is my personal favorite because it's pure theater. Someone says the screen is dead, which is dramatic because it's just black. They troubleshoot like they're defusing a bomb in public. Cables get replugged, settings get blamed, everyone looks stressed. Then somebody asks the meanest question in the nicest voice. Is the camera covered? Nobody answers that question quickly because the answer hurts. The camera is covered. A lens cap is sitting there like a joke the universe paid for. Remove the cap and the broken setup becomes a magic trick. Failure can be 1 inch away from success. Sometimes it's literally 1 inch. Case 3 is where the pattern gets a price tag. Someone says, the video died. They blame the airwaves, the weather, the vibes, anything. Then they admit they already tried fixing it. That's never a good sign. I ask what they changed. They say, nothing important, which is always code for, I changed everything important. The real issue is embarrassingly basic. The antenna is missing, the piece that lets the video leave the machine. Without it, the goggles aren't broken. They're just hearing silence. Worse, the transmitter keeps trying anyway, and that's when it gets expensive. With no antenna to dump the signal, the transmitter overheats. It cooks itself like a toaster with no off switch. Then the video doesn't act weird. It disappears, sometimes permanently, right when you finally felt confident. Here's the brutal mechanism behind all of these problems. The battery can dump power instantly, like a sports car in pocket form. That's why it feels alive, and why it punishes sloppy moments. One wiring mistake can cook a part before you even realize it happened. Sometimes the only warning is a smell that means your wallet just got lighter. People joke that the drone runs on magic smoke, and you're not allowed to lose it. Flying is the roller coaster drop. Troubleshooting is the hour-long line you pretend you don't mind. The drone doesn't care how confident you feel. It only cares if the setup is correct. That's why the best day can become the worst from one little mistake. And here's what matters. These bizarre problems don't stop people from coming back. They come back because they're chasing one specific moment. Here's the part people outside the hobby never get to feel. The point isn't the speed, or the camera view, or the clips online. The point is the moment where your brain stops fighting the machine. At the start of a flight, everything is loud in your head. The motors are loud. The picture is noisy. Your thumbs feel clumsy and overconfident at the same time. You're doing 100 micro corrections and still feeling behind. It's like trying to write neatly during an earthquake. Then the switch flips. Not because you got braver, because your brain finally trusts what it's seeing. The noise fades into the background like an air conditioner you stopped noticing. The fear goes away because your timing stops arguing with reality. The machine stops feeling like a thing you're controlling. It starts feeling like a thing you're wearing. Like an extra sense you can steer through gaps. You see a space between branches and you don't debate it. You just go, and your thumbs follow the decision before your thoughts do. For a moment, you're not piloting anything. You're just placed correctly in the world at high speed. That's what people mean by locked in. It isn't magic. It's the rare moment when everything lines up at the same time. The video stays honest enough to guide you. The setup stays correct enough to obey you. Your brain stays calm enough to predict instead of panic. That's why the support stories don't stop anyone. The upside down blades are funny until you do it yourself. The covered camera is hilarious until it's your camera. The missing antenna is a tragedy until it teaches you respect. Those mistakes are the paddling you forget the moment you catch a perfect wave. Because when you hit that locked-in moment, even for 10 seconds, it sticks. It feels like real flight, but without the cockpit and without the cost of a plane. You're still standing in a field. Your brain just forgot, on purpose. Next time you see noisy drone footage online, don't judge the video quality. That noise might be the reason the pilot made it home with the drone, because ugly video doesn't just look different, it behaves better when the switch matters most.